So I can feel it in the air, I can smell it around me. This is going to be a pretty negative review of Scream 7, so I just want to start out by saying I don't think Scream 7 is the worst movie ever made. Probably, I'm pretty sure. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that some of the kills in this movie might be the best in the franchise. Unfortunately, those kills and those moments of enjoyment are but mere islands on the rough, choppy ocean that is Scream 7. Hey, what's up? My name is John Bonjour. I am a comic artist and film enthusiast, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it, this one. This is a bad one. They did a bad job. For those of you who don't know, the Scream franchise has had its ups and downs before. This is not news that a slasher sequel might be bad, but the last couple of movies have felt like they were building to something bigger and something more important. They did the requel. Well, let's start from the beginning. Scream started in the 90s as this very self-referential but very clever slasher mystery hybrid. Scream 2 also does the same general idea. Scream 3 is bad, it's really, really bad, and Scream 4 brought it back to kind of what we loved about the original franchise, and then I think Scream 5 is a requel that has a lot of the same issues that the Halloween trilogy has, but a lot of the same benefits that the Halloween trilogy has as well. I think there's a lot of fun to be had in Scream 5, and Scream 6 was one of my favorite Scream movies. I loved that film, I thought it was so much fun. And I was looking forward to Scream 7 when that came out because it seemed like they were building towards something more important with these characters, towards something a little bit more intentional than they had been before. And then studio executives did the thing that studio executives do, which is just be extremely overreactive to whatever is happening no matter what in the hopes that they won't offend literally anyone. And they fired Melissa Barrera as well as Jenna Ortega. I think she was kind of related to it. Anyway, they fired Melissa Barrera for saying some things that it's very funny at this point in time, looking back on the things that she said. They're not controversial. They're very lukewarm things that she said as compared to the things being thrown around now just a few years later. So I think it's fair to say that the executives kind of fucked this up pretty bad. And you can feel that in this movie. Scream 7 still came out just without Melissa Barrera and without Jenna Ortega, two of the two characters that you would be interested in seeing really return. Not that I dislike the other characters that do come back, but those are the characters that you're like invested in story-wise, and this one sort of passingly gestures at like, oh yeah, I think they also are just doing something around. You could not convince me that this script is the one they were going to use for Scream 7. This feels so strongly, and I'll get into a lot of this later. It honestly feels like they took the original script that was probably very good and ran it through an AI saying, hey, remove these two characters and make it make sense. And surprise, surprise, the AI didn't make art. I honestly, like, I've been thinking a lot about it. I saw the movie last night, and I legitimately believe that this is the worst Scream movie for a lot of reasons that we'll get into right now. Welcome to the Thunderdome, Scream. There is no redemptive quality to this script whatsoever. Everything that works only works because the actors are able to deliver a line that is passable at best in a way that's funny. What doesn't work, 95% of the movie, is almost exclusively due to script issues. Most notably, this is written for toddlers, and last I checked, toddlers don't love the Scream movies. They're not super hot on those. The expositional dialogue in this movie is comically bad. Characters will just barrel the camera and be like,
you know how hard it was for me, a single mom with one child. You met my child earlier, you remember him. I don't have to tell you how hard it was when my abusive husband left. Isn't it a bummer that I have to deal with all of those things?
The single funniest line in the movie to me is when when Sidney Prescott, or Sidney Evans, I guess, in this, comes up to her husband and she goes, 2 teens are dead. What the fuck, Mark? It's so powerful. It's such a powerful line. And then the most egregious line in the movie to me, the worst delivery, and I don't think it's on the actors, I really don't, because how could you deliver this well? At the end of the movie, all of the Scream reveals have happened, and we'll talk about those. And Sydney and her daughter shoot the holy hell out of this lady's face, which was kind of fun, I guess, in its own way. And after 2 beats, Sydney looks to her daughter, goes, "You okay?" And her daughter goes, "I'm Sydney fucking Prescott's daughter." Stupid. I mean, it's like, it doesn't work as a cool line. It's just not a badass line like they think it is. And B, if we think about what has happened in this movie and the arc of the character, she is not okay. To have the arc of the movie resolve with her just being completely fine, totally normal about everything that's happened is such a disservice to the character that they have created for this movie. It's truly, genuinely idiotic. And the way that they treat their characters is so hilariously bad to me. A few examples that I have. Sidney Prescott has 3 kids. One, her daughter, Tatum. They make a big deal about it being Tatum. She has Tatum, her daughter, a character in the movie. And then she has 2 other kids that we just couldn't be bothered to even literally talk to almost at all. There's a Zoom call, a running theme in this movie. There's a Zoom call with her parents or her somebody, I don't know, maybe her husband's parents. And they're like, hey, we have these other 2 kids, just so you know, so everything is good. And then there's one line later where the husband is like, it's all going to shit, but don't worry, everybody in Denver has got an eye on our kids. And I was like, I guess they're just not characters. I guess we're just not engaging with them whatsoever in this movie. And there's a lot of that kind of hand-waving throughout the film that I find so funny and so frustrating. I think it's also very funny that Gale Weathers comes back for this movie. We have her, Monica from Friends, she's back. Honestly, has there been a Scream movie without her? I genuinely don't know, and every time that she comes back, they treat it like it's this big revival return moment. Anyway, so she comes back, she's in this movie, and it is very funny what they choose to do with her character, because she has just lost Dewey in, I think, the last movie. I'm relatively sure. I honestly can't remember. It was the last movie or the movie before. But anyway, she's just lost Dewey, the love of her life, maybe. Her entire character arc is sometimes I'm sad and sometimes I feel pain. There's a very funny scene where Sidney is being interviewed by Gale Weathers, a thing that the franchise has been kind of teasing the idea of for years. And now they're finally doing it. Gale Weathers gets an interview with Sidney Prescott, and it is so funny because the arc for these 2 characters, just on paper, is that they hate each other, and then they learn to respect each other, and then they kind of like each other begrudgingly at the end of the movie. And that is the arc for these characters in pretty much all of the Scream movies each time, and they always reset, start over, and give them that exact same arc. But this one's the funniest to me because she comes in and they give the interview, and the interview starts off right before it. Sidney looks at Gale and she's like, please, like, you're not gonna be too hard on me, are you? And Gale goes, yeah, of course I am, it's my job. And they get in the interview, and Gale is almost immediately like, now do you think it's bad that you're poisoned and your kids will be poisoned by how bad and evil and wrong you are? It's indescribable how much of this movie kind of feels like they were trying to do something and then just completely missing the mark, and genuinely believe that they landed the plane on this. In a different movie, maybe that would be some sort of like cool character depth moment, but in this film, she comes in, she kills a man almost immediately. Like, she runs a guy over with her car, she steps out, she goes, well, how's it going? I'm Gale Weathers. She's just so unbothered by this, and I understand that the point that they're trying to make is that she just puts on this facade of being unbothered, but actually she's a human person with human feelings. But we see that be categorically not true throughout the rest of the movie. But to me, the funniest victim of the characterization in this movie is, in fact, Joel McHale as Dad Cop. Let's just take a second to kind of plot the course of Dad Cop. Opening chunk of the film, before all the Scream stuff starts happening, he is perfect man, perfect husband, perfect dad, very supportive, just as harsh as he needs to be, and that's it. He's never wrong about anything, he's never pushes any boundaries, he never does anything human, he's just guy who is good dad. And then the Scream stuff starts happening, and then he is guy who is good cop. And then he's guy who is good cop and good dad, because he bodies Ghostface in this movie. Like, the fight between Ghostface and Joel McHale is insane. And if we're just, again, tracking the general character storyline within this movie, Joel McHale falls down all the stairs that they have in their house, which isn't like a ton of stairs, but it's all the ones they got. Gets stabbed multiple times in different situations. He gets sliced in the arm. He gets kicked, almost bleeds out. By the end of the movie, he has been attacked by Ghostface 3 times, I'm fairly sure. Choked out, knocked out, and then choked out and knocked out, and then suffocated and stabbed. And he is brought out like a hog roast in front of Sidney and her daughter. They give him a little kick, he starts breathing, and even Ghostface is like, oh shit, oh, you're alive, huh? And this is the kicker, right? They have their whole final battle fight sequence with the Ghostfaces. and they just leave him bleeding out on the floor, and they're like, call an ambulance, and then they go fight all the ghost faces. After that badass cool line, they turn around and they go back to the husband, who's just like trying to survive on the ground after being left. And then the next thing you see is him in an ambulance, like trying to sit up as much as he can with the breathing tube and all the gauze and all the like wrapping, and he's like trying to sit up, and he's looking at Sydney outside of the ambulance, and they just close the doors and drive away. And it's so funny to me because her husband, the man that she presumably loves for some reason, even though we've never seen any of that on screen, is bleeding out in an ambulance, and she's like, anyway, I'm gonna go talk to my frenemy Gale. I'm gonna go have a nice chat with person that I notoriously hate, Gale Weathers, and then I'm gonna go sit on the stoop with my daughter, tell her one story, and be like, well, we should probably go see your dad, huh? It's like the movie wants us to forget that that's happening just so that we can have all these moments. The priorities of the characters don't make any sense whatsoever, and that also applies to the ghost faces. So let's talk about the worst Scream reveal in history. Throughout the film, Ghostface is video calling Sidney Prescott as Matthew Lillard, as Stu Macher, okay? This is a thing that the movie makes explicitly clear. They video call, we see Stu Macher, current Matthew Lillard, in a bunch of little scar makeup. I have so many thoughts. This is where the movie really disappoints me. I think in the first 2/3 of the film, I was kind of on board. There were things about it that are obviously not good, but I was on board with what we were generally moving toward. Except that they just kept dropping this little thing. They just kept, anytime Matthew Lillard would call her, she would hang up the call and there would be something to the point of, huh, I wonder if that was real or was that faked. The way that this movie treats the Stu Macher character in this, and spoilers again for those who haven't seen it, Stu is dead. We know that Stu is dead. They have given an option for Stu to be alive, and instead, that was just a lie that they told, and actually it was AI the entire time, which is stupid. Going into this movie, knowing that Matthew Lillard was coming back, I had the thought, I'm a little bit worried that it's gonna be some kind of like commentary on AI. And it was even worse than that. Not only does the movie involve AI to bring back these legacy characters that aren't actually coming back, because, spoilers again, the people who are the actual ghost faces are a guy from the psych ward and Sydney's soccer mom friend. Two characters. The soccer mom friend, I was clocking from the beginning being like, this is weird. Your dialogue is weird. Your whole vibe is odd, and it's strange that you're in this for no reason. The other guy, the guy at the psych ward, I was like, you have weird deliveries. You have weird little moments. Like, the way that you're playing this character is strange. And so when they revealed, it was like, sure, I guess so. Except the problem is, the guy first rips off his mask and he's like, it was actually me. And my legitimate first thought was like, I'm gonna go on ahead and need a little bit of dialogue to tell me who you are, because I don't remember you from the one scene you had in this movie. And then the other mom rips off her mask and I was like, okay, sure. I guess that's what we're doing. It's not a good reveal, but also the film uses AI to bring back Matthew Lillard as Stu Macher, what I consider to be his best character. Well, maybe Shaggy. One of his best characters is Stu Macher, and the way that they choose to bring him back, it is so clear that they had exactly one AD and one makeup artist go to Matthew Lillard's God's honest house, put a little makeup on him, and show him a phone camera and be like, I don't know, say this dialogue, like, do whatever you want. There is such a disconnect. Something that's so fun about Matthew Lillard as an actor and as Stu Macher is that he really feeds off the energy of the room, and you can feel him in these sets talking to these people. He feels freaky and real and fun. All of that is stripped away when he's on a camera, on a phone. All of that is gone. And also, I understand, maybe they're like, oh, we're trying to make it feel a little weird because he's actually AI. And you know what? That's dumb. My golden rule on these kinds of things is if you don't have anything to say, don't say anything at all. It's a movie about AI with absolutely no messaging on AI. It is neither pro nor against nor interested in discussing the ramifications of AI whatsoever. This is the story of someone bringing back a horrific dead person to life, and the movie is so unwilling to engage with any of the moral ramifications of literally any of that. It's so uninterested in being a story about AI for a movie that involves AI pretty heavily. And that's really my takeaway for the movie. Why would you do this? Why would you make this the way that you've made it? It doesn't make any sense to me. If you're going to make a Scream movie, if you're going to kind of backpedal, try to Hail Mary make a Scream movie without two of the characters that are so important to the last two Scream movies, and presumably what this was going to be, why make something so empty and vapid and pointless? I don't say this very lightly. I am willing to engage with the movie on whatever its terms are. This is a movie that lost me on its own terms because it is uninterested in being any of the things it pretends like it's going to be. And I just can't get behind that. I think Scream 7 is the worst Scream. I really do. I would watch Scream 3 before this because at least it has a genuine heart, kind of. At least it tries to be something. I am just befuddled by Scream 7. If you've seen the movie, what did you think? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video and checking out my channel. If you'd like to hear more of my thoughts on movies, comics, TV shows, anything of the like, hit the like button and the subscribe and comment down below what you'd like me to review next. Or do none of those things because I am not your dad.